Hello, my name is Ben, and my name is Josh. Yes, Josh is a little bit late. He is on his way. He's just coming back from work. He's a busy boy. He's had a busy day. So, bless him. We're going to start without him, and we're going to get straight into Game Week 11. Oh, I'm excited for this one. I don't know if you guys are, but we've got a special guest to bring on. It is a family member of the FPL graduates. It is Ray. Welcome to the stream, Ray. How are you?
Oh man, what an entrance! My God, how much do I owe you?
Yeah, I think it's on an hourly rate, so we'll see. So, Ray, could you explain to sort of everyone, if they haven't seen you before, who you are, what you're about, who you support?
Well, like you said, I'm a family member. Obviously, we have the same complexion, which is very important. But Ray Quraishi, I'm on FPL Twitter all the time. I'm part of way too many things, but I can't help it. I support Arsenal, massive fan, and happy to be coming on when we're playing well.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal are doing exceptionally well at the moment, and I mean, me and Josh have been considering Arsenal assets, and I know since the birth of this channel we've been bantering Arsenal, but I mean they're doing all right at the moment. There's a few great FPL assets in there, isn't there?
Absolutely, man, and a couple who'll be playing on Sunday for me, so I'm happy about that.
Definitely. Right, we're just gonna get straight into it. I'm gonna get straight into my team, and I'm gonna explain it a little bit first. So, if you bear me a second, I'm just gonna get the team up. Here we go. This is what my team is looking like for this week. If you guys can see it. So, Sanchez in goal. Obviously, wildcarded last week, so brought in Sanchez because he's been an exceptional keeper for 4.5 million this season, and his fixtures lend himself quite nicely to getting a few save points in weeks, and then also the potential of getting clean sheets. So I'm quite happy and set with him in there. In the defence, I've doubled up on Chelsea. Chilwell, Rudiger. Chilwell brought in, a bit frustrated that didn't bring in Reece James, but I think it was justified because I'm a safe FPL player and I didn't know whether Reece James was going to start because he played obviously a lot of minutes in the Champions League before. I'm happy with those two. I think they'll both start. Trent Alexander-Arnold against West Ham. It's a tough fixture, but wow, midweek he was fantastic, and so was the other guy in my defence, João Cancelo. I mean, people were, wavering a little bit on him because of his sort of recent performances and recent, Man City clean sheet wipeouts, but can't complain about 3 assists in the Champions League leading up to the Manchester derby. I mean, that's brilliant, and I'm hoping that, Pep does one over Ollie. Manchester United haven't looked too great recently. They obviously got a good result against Tottenham, but Man City is a different beast to try and beat. So I'm hoping that they do well. As in the midfield, I've got Phil Foden as well. In the away games this season in the Premier League, he's been their standout player, and I think he can continue that vein of form. Beautiful player to watch. The same could be said for Emil Smith-Rowe, who is an absolute bargain at 5.3 million. I'm sure Ray will talk about him a bit more going into his team as well. But wow, had a 9-pointer on the bench last week, which is so frustrating. But, it happens. I was always going to have him on the bench. Leicester's a tough fixture. I should have seen maybe that, Leicester defensively haven't been quite as good as they've been in previous seasons. But yeah, got Heung-min Son in as well. Brought him in on the wild card, and I've kind of got him in before the bandwagon even started. So I'm quite happy about that. Prices in my team are all rising quite nicely. And Rafinha in there. I'm not making the same mistake I made with Smith-Rowe last week. On that side, Rafinha plays is where Leicester concede all their chances. The third most XG conceded out of any Premier League team. So I'm hoping Rafinha can get a haul there. Mo Salah captain. I mean, you don't really need to say much about that. And then Ivan Toney up front. And now this is where it gets interesting. On the bench, we've got Livramento and Antonio. It's a very strong bench this week. I am not looking forward to watching those games. I've been flicking between Antonio and Cancelo on my bench for a while now, but I've settled with Cancelo, and I think I'm just going to leave it there and not fiddle around with it anymore. But Ray, I want to know what your thoughts are on my team.
I mean, your 11 it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I love your defensive midfield. I think you have smashed the wild card here because this is going to become very template pretty soon. I think I really want a Tottenham asset, obviously, for obvious reasons. And you already got on
Yeah.
there before it's going to become seriously popular. So I was literally going to ask, this team's so good, who is being sacrificed on the bench? And you've shown me now. And
Yeah.
my fear of people who will bench Antonio, usually it's actually for Livramento, from what I've been seeing on Twitter and same with my team as well, is that Liverpool aren't looking that great defensively. So West Ham are going to get chances, and who else to get it to than the beast himself. But I agree with you as well. Like, I don't know who I'd drop here.
Yeah.
In your team. I mean, you're almost hoping Rudiger doesn't start, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. I'm like, there's no one. Every single player on that team has a case to be made to play in my team this week. It's crazy. Like Smith Rowe, I'm not going to drop him to Watford, who have looked terrible against the big sides this season. I'm not going to drop Tony, who's playing the worst team in the league. Like the City boys, I'm not dropping City players when they're, I can't do that. So someone has to make way. Unfortunately, it is going to be Mikel Antonio.
Wow.
We'll see if it hurts, but I'm hoping that Trent Alexander-Arnold gets attacking returns, because I think that's like what we've been missing from him this season. Like he's been ticking along very nicely, but we waited for that moment, like Leicester away of last season, or was it the season before? I can't remember where he got
2 seasons ago. Yeah,
he got a 21-point haul. I'm kind of waiting for that. I think it's round the corner. He's producing the underlying stats to show me that he's going to do it, but we'll see when that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we move on to your team, Ray? Because Josh still isn't here. Don't know what he's doing. I will get your team up now.
Thank you. I haven't got it.
Give me a couple of seconds, and we should be able to show it for you.
While you're doing that, did you roll your transfer then?
Yes, I've rolled my transfer for this week. So yeah, I've got your team up now, Ray. It's a little bit small on the screen, but that's okay. You're going to talk us through it anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, so last week was a bloodbath for me. So it really was Halloween. So I was just teasing myself about it. I was getting hit left, right, and center by Jason and Freddie Kruger, man. Seriously, I got battered. But anyway, going into this week, I feel the best thing to do is to do nothing. So in goal will be Ramsdale, who I benched last week. So which is ridiculous for Foster. It's just so stupid of me, really. But in defense, Trent, Cancelo, and Azpilicueta. Now, Azpilicueta, I bought him in my wild card because Rudiger was injured. Yeah, so my idea was have Azpilicueta, because surely he's nailed. He hasn't started the last 2 Premier League games, and I don't think he's going to start against Burnley. I have this real icky feeling they're going to play like Chalobah, for example, because Burnley are not really that threatening. But let's see there. I love the look of my midfield. With Smith Rowe, who came off the bench for me last week, luckily, because Mbeumo didn't come off. So I enjoyed those 9 points. Salah, of course, captain. Mbeumo again against Norwich. He's expected to play, what I heard from Thomas Frank, so I'm happy about that. Foden I bought in last week for a hit by taking out Jimenez. So like I said, it was brutal last week. But I think Foden, like you said, he is... For me, he's already one of the best players in the Man City side. And I look at him, and I know this sounds controversial. I love Kevin De Bruyne, but if Kevin De Bruyne is not playing, Foden's going to get involved, Rafinha last week was kind of like his stay of execution. If he didn't perform, I would have taken him out this week. He was fantastic last week. Vardy has been extremely disappointed, and this is pretty much his last game, and then I'll probably look to get in Kane. And this is where my pickle was. Do I go with Antonio or Livramento? Livramento looks absolutely fabulous, right? Again, I got points off the bench from him last week. I got very lucky because Azpilicueta didn't come off, didn't play. But I just feel Antonio is going to get opportunities. Now, I know the stats don't say recently Antonio's been on fire, but the eye test, he's looked so dangerous, Ben. And I feel like Antonio will have a chance against a Liverpool defense who don't look that great at the moment. So, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, wow, the fact that everyone's benches are looking really strong. Like, you haven't even mentioned like Ruben Dias, who's like one of the most nailed Man City defenders, and he's also on your bench as well. But I can definitely see your thought process with the Antonio pick. I really do want to play him, and it's so tough to get him in with the rest of the team. I like the team though. I really like that Mbumo pick. He's one that I've thought of trying to get in, and then other fires came up in my team, and it just resulted that I couldn't get him in. Like I was planning transfers ahead to bring him in because his underlying stats fantastic, hits the post all the time, which as an FPL manager, expected liveliness off the scale. So absolutely love that. But yeah, the Azpilicueta one, I feel like he will play this week. I think he's going to play in a right centre back role, and I think it will probably be Christensen that makes way for Chalobah. That's what my thought process is. But again, Thomas Tuchel, we don't really know what he's going to be doing at any given moment. So yeah, we're going to bring in Josh. He's going to share his thoughts on Ray's team as well.
Hello. Apologies. Been working late, but here we are. I was watching it in the car, so I've seen both your teams. But yeah, it looks good. Again, like similar to my team, to be fair. Mbuemo, I think he's gonna. This is the week for him. I think he's been impending a haul. So let's see what he can do this week. Antonio, it's gonna be interesting because for me, I haven't had him since his suspension. I transferred him out back then, so for a couple of weeks now, he's been haunting me. But surely it's got to come to an end. Surely.
Well, one thing I was going to ask both of you is, so I'm going to roll the transfer. I'm pretty sure I am. And if I weren't to, I would have done Antonio to Tony. But the problem with Tony is, and I hate to say this, but he's flattered to deceive a little bit. I expected a lot more from him. And my issue is, let's say I bring him in. I'll have him Mbumo and Tony double. Against Norwich is fine, but then I'm kind of at a mental pickle for the next few weeks. Do I keep doing a double up? And Brentford have kind of gone off the boil recently, and I think I'd rather play the players who are in form rather than play the fixture, even though Norwich are so bad. I think if you have one Brentford attacking asset, I think you're fine this week, personally. Wanted to know your thoughts on that.
It's interesting because I have the double up, so I have Mbuemo and Tony. So for me this season, I have played the fixtures, and that's what's got me to where I am. So
much for what I said, yeah. All that thing I just said.
Yeah, but it is just one of those things. That's how people do it, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's how you interpret what you see. I don't think, like you said, it will become a headache for me having both. In the long term, because obviously I don't want two Brentford attackers. It's not as if they're prolific going forward.
Yeah.
But again, at Mbuemo's price point, there's about 10 options like that you could choose from. Like we mentioned Smith Rowe earlier, and others. So I'm more than happy to use one of those transfers. Plus, I need to figure out how I'm going to get Ronaldo in come game week 14, 15 time. So maybe Tony makes way there.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Brentford assets, you'd probably be looking at like their fixtures. Actually, I really do like them. You obviously look at Norwich coming up, then Newcastle, then an Everton side who might still be decimated by injuries by the time the 28th of November comes around. Yeah. Then they got Spurs away. Let's see if Conte can get that defence going before then. And then Leeds and Watford, which, you know, those two fixtures are fixtures which we could see some sort of return. So I think they're low enough owned, both of them, that you could probably get away with one of them. And still get sort of like a rank rise out of returns from them. Double up is probably excessive, but that's the way Josh plays FPL. He's an excessive man. So yeah.
We love it. All right, shall we move on to my team? I'll grab it up and then we can slander my Brentford double up a little bit more. Right, here we go. So as like Ben, he copied me last week playing the wild card. So I wildcarded last week too. Sanchez in there. Obviously, probably a poor decision going Meslier to start the season. Obviously, saving 0.5 and having some clean sheets is nice. So he's in goal. The back three of Trent, James, Cancelo. Unreal from James. I think I've seen he's only started 3 times this season, and each game is like double-digit hauled, which is mental.
Unbelievable.
Just so good, and like even if he doesn't play, like you just knowing that that's a potential, like where he's going forward so much, it's just great to have as an asset. I agreed with what you said about Trent, Ben, that he's just yet to get those proper Trent type pulls. So I'm looking forward to that. Same with Cancelo.
It's coming, isn't it? It's coming. It's coming.
Exactly.
It's coming.
Same, like both of them midweek, 2 assists for Trent, 3 assists for Cancelo. Just do it at the weekend, lads. That's all I'm asking. So yeah, moving on to the midfield 5, we've got Salah captain, of course. I've seen a lot of people asking, should I go Tony? Should I go Son? Like loads of different differentials. I just think you should keep it on Salah. Like it's a marathon, not a sprint at the end of the day. And I think you can do differential captains probably in different weeks. Salah's got a great record against West Ham as well. So I'm more than happy to stick it on him again. Foden against United. I'm a United fan, obviously, but I know that Man City are going to tear us apart tomorrow. No Varane. Lindelof might not be fit. Like, it's just a shambles at the back. So I'm more than happy to play both City assets. I literally expect a Liverpool episode 2 to happen. Son's in there. Obviously, he was on the wild card. I've made no transfers from last week, so hoping for big things from him. Conte's please make some goals out of Son. He looked quite lively in the game yesterday. He's playing the furthest forward as well. Harry Kane dropping a bit deeper, so that's quite interesting. Mbeumo, as we discussed, I've gone for the double up, Tony and Mbeumo. It's purely because the fixtures. Norwich at home. I think Norwich have literally like their whole defence injured as well. No Hanley, no Kabak. Like they're absolutely rinsed at the back. Newcastle next week, and then they come into some okay-ish fixtures, I'd say. Everton, Tottenham, Leeds, Watford. See how Ranieri does against those smaller teams as well. Rafinha, obviously, he was in because he faced Norwich last week. I think also Leeds. Like Leicester always concede goals. I think they've kept 1 clean sheet this season. That's on the opening day. Spurs, obviously, they conceded 2 last night to Vitesse. I expect their defence to improve, but let's see how it goes. And then Brighton, Palace and Brentford. I think that he is potentially like a hold until about game week 15. I don't think they're the worst fixtures if you have other fires to put out. And then Iheanacho to partner Tony up top. I think he looked good against Arsenal, I thought he was Leicester's best player before he got subbed at half-time. So I'm hoping he stays on for the long haul and actually can do something for me because he's my little differential pick up top. There's not a lot of strikers, in my opinion, that really take my fancy, to be honest. So he's there. And then we're benching Livramento, sadly, and then also Van Dijk because I do feel like West Ham could score against Liverpool. What do you think, boys?
So I have been on loads of spaces recently, and I've actually calmed down. But before that, it was crazy. And I said that, look, you can't win FPL, but you can certainly lose it very early on by making maverick and differential choices that are just too risky. And I think not captaining Salah is it's too risky for me. You know what I mean? Because if he returns against West Ham and you haven't captured him, his effective ownership will probably be 150 to 170% again. That is insane, isn't it? That's absolutely insane. So I don't even think Salah will make the most points in your lineup, but I think it's absolutely the right thing to do to captain him. And not only that, the eye test, isn't it? He's just on absolute fire at the moment. But another question I had is, Van Dijk, what made you go for there? Because there's so many other players before you wildcarded that were possibly more attractive and cheaper.
I think for me, the whole thinking behind the Liverpool double up is that, but all 3 of those defences, they're stellar. Like they're all just as good as each other. Pretty much, they all kept 6 clean sheets as and when I'd done my wild card. So for me, I just decided to go with Van Dijk. He's a little bit more expensive than your Rudigers and etc., but he does guarantee you game time, and I just couldn't be bothered to have that headache of just like, is he going to play every week and like having to filter out the bench. I think having Van Dijk there, it gives me the opportunity to potentially double up on points. Everyone has Trent as well, so it gives me a bonus when they keep a clean sheet. So that's just my thinking.
Wicked. I love your midfield, by the way. Absolutely good. Well, actually, your midfield and defense are brilliant. I think those are the 3 defenders people want. James Stroke Chilwell, but definitely Trent and Cancelo. So yeah, man, you're set up well. What's your rank?
I can't actually remember. Let me double check. I think it's around top 50k-ish. Yeah, 52k overall at the minute. So
it was too, man. Last year when we did this,
I know we've learned. We're evolving. But yeah, now it's better. It was better earlier, but I think it was the week before I wildcarded. I had like a 350% rank drop from about 15k to 60k. So we sort of had to hit the wildcard pretty soon.
Awesome. Nice one, guys.
Wicked.
But yeah, that rounds up all of our teams. So we'll move on to my favourite section of the episode.
Oh, no.
He forgot about it.
I did. Remember last year? I think I did all right last year. I did all right last year. Oh, no.
Awesome. Right, so Ray's going to have 60 seconds to answer as many FPL/Arsenal related questions that he can. We broke the record last week, didn't we, Ben?
Yeah, wow. I couldn't believe it. You know, we brought on the Watford juicer for FPL Juice. And
what, Roberto?
Roberto.
Let's just say he knows his stuff, and there's a reason why he's the Watford juicer. Let's just put it that way.
You know, I'm the Arsenal juicer.
Oh, it's a juice off.
It's a juicer. That did not sound weird at all. All right.
Take it as you will, you know.
That was sus.
Right, I've got the clock ready. Are you two ready?
Come on.
Okay, ready in 3, 2, 1. Which Arsenal asset has the most FPL points so far this season?
Smith Rowe.
Correct. Which Arsenal defensive asset has the most FPL points so far this season?
Ooh. White.
Gabriel. How many clean sheets have Arsenal kept this season in the Premier League?
4.
Correct. Only 2 players have registered more than 1 assist in the Premier League so far this season. One is Emil Smith-Rowe. The other is?
Saka.
Correct. Who is the only Arsenal player to have accumulated more than 2 yellow cards so far this season?
Sambi. Lokonga.
Correct. How many goals does Arsenal top scorer Aubameyang have in the league so far this season?
It's either 4 or 5. 4?
Correct. Over the whole season so far, which Arsenal player has been transferred out by the most by FPL managers over the whole season?
Oh my God. Take your pick. I will go Tierney.
Incorrect. It was actually Ben
White.
Yeah.
That was my second choice. Shit.
You got 5. So
5.
That is very good. It's not as good as Roberto, but he did absolutely storm it last week, didn't he, Ben?
Yeah, I was getting a bit worried that I was going to run out of questions with him. He was just rattling them off. So 5 is the second best we've had this season. So out of the 11 game weeks, to be second, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, the juicers know their stuff. So FPL juice, we'll let them know.
please do, because I think I'm on the firing line soon.
Awesome. Right, so we'll move on to the next segment. We're going to be talking some stats. I'll pull some up. But Ray, do you look at stats do you take them into consideration? Like, what's your opinion on them? Because a lot of people just say nah, I'm eye test. I'm just straight there. Some people only use stats. Do you use a bit of both? What's your outlook on that?
Yeah, I'd say I'm 70% eye test and 30% stats. I'd like to think I have a decent observation when I'm watching football. So then I kind of use the stats to match it, especially heat maps, expected points, and kind of like expected shots on target and goals. So those kind of 3 or 4 things. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. So if I'll pull it up now, bear with me a sec, just got to share the screen again. We'll be looking at non-penalty XG. It's one of the stats that I know I use. I think Ben uses it quite a bit as well. So Salah is obviously top. That's expected. But someone who's very interesting coming in at second is Jared Bowen. I don't know if you boys have been watching him in the past couple of weeks, but for me, he's been West Ham's best asset, even over Antonio. What's your thoughts on him, Ray?
Yeah, absolutely. A few weeks ago, I was talking to a few West Ham lads, and they were saying that, look, Jared Bowen is the one who's probably going to start performing, not Ben Rama, because Antonio looked a little bit, not gassed out, but, kind of, how he started the season was incredible, right? But Jared Bowen, exactly. But Jared Bowen, absolutely, especially when their fixtures turn in, I think, 14-15, I would look to double up because I'm going to keep Antonio. So, yeah, Jared Bowen looks absolutely phenomenal. Definitely one to get in maybe 4 or 5 game weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting because at the start of the season, I think a few people went Bowen and they didn't have Ben Rama, and it sort of roles reversed really, and Bowen started being the one performing in the Premier League. Is there anyone there, Ben, that takes your fancy? Obviously, there's a few players in your team in that list.
Well, just to touch up on that Bowen thing, the underlying stats for him at the start of the season suggested that he should have been outperforming Ben Rama in terms of FPL points. So it's one where people have had to be patient with him. The other sort of players that I'm interested in, Heung-min Son, obviously, start the season playing in that system with Nuno, very negative defensive system, and yet he's still producing those sorts of statistics. Just shows that under a good manager like Conte, he could explode. And we've seen it before. He's gone on runs before in FPL where he's gone 4, 5, 6 game weeks where he will haul every week. And I think he could do that over that great run that Spurs have got coming up. Definitely worth considering him for sure, especially midfielder, 10 million, 2 million cheaper than Kane. I think he's probably stand out now. And I know I hate saying essential, but he could be on the path to being essential in FPL.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Some Spurs attacker probably will be on the radar for a lot of people in the coming weeks. I think one other player that I'm going to touch on, not really the player himself, but maybe the team he plays for, is Christian Benteke and Crystal Palace. I think as budget options and fixtures go, they've got a decent run of games coming up. Benteke, obviously, he's been leading the line, even though Edouard's come in. Is there anyone from Palace, Ray, that you'd be keeping your eye on? There's obviously Elise, Gallagher, a few people asking, should they take Gallagher out? Would you do that right now?
Yeah, so when I wildcarded in 8, I wanted 2 budget midfielders, and I went for Smith Rowe and Mbeumo. So Gallagher absolutely on the watch list. He kind of returned to form, didn't he, against Man City? He was immaculate. But saying that, he was brilliant against us as well a couple of weeks ago, where we nicked a draw. So I think Gallagher, I think he's always going to be on the watch list because he's so expressive with his offense. You know, he's always in and around the area, making those late runs. So yeah, I could definitely see possibly in a couple of weeks, especially if Rafinha's not performing. So yeah.
Definitely. And one other player, that Ben knows quite well, Elise, he's been popping up with a few assists, I think a goal as well. What do you think about him? Do you reckon he'll get some more minutes and be an option?
As soon as he's nailed in that starting 11, he's coming in my team. That's all I'm saying. Like, he's possibly the best dead ball specialist I've seen. And with Christian Benteke there, he will get assists for days. Unbelievable. I think a lot of people are starting to pick up, well, not in the FPL terms, but on sort of like football Twitter, they're picking up the fact that Elise with the ball, he's just a Rolls Royce player. And it's only a matter of time before he will start getting some hauls and getting consistency and getting more minutes, because we've seen him get like 3 or 4 assists already in the Premier League, and he started like 1 game so far this season. So he's getting returns against the likes of Man City whilst playing 20 minutes. So it just shows he's a really fantastic player, and you know, I'm already eyeing him up to bring him in.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one for sure. I think it took me by surprise this season, just seeing how many of these assets at 5.5 million there are. Usually it was like Rafinha price going into the season when it's 6.5 million, but these guys are proving good budget enablers, especially when you need to get all these premiums in, like the Sons, the Salahs. If you want Ronaldo, like you're going to need a couple of these guys. So it's great that they're becoming an option, isn't it?
Yeah. Agree, man.
Awesome. So what we're going to do now, should we move on to some questions from the comment section? We've had loads of them. We'll pick up this one first because I know the answer to it. Do you guys think that Mount will start or even play? So basically Tuchel said that he's in the squad. He could play some minutes, but it's sort of like touch and go. I don't know if you guys seen that. What do you think of Mount as an asset, Ray? Would you have him in your team?
So a friend of mine, Dan from the FPL way, he bought in Mount and got the hat trick. No, his wildcard pick got the hat trick. It was unbelievable. Then Mount didn't play last week, and I think he got Livramento off the bench. So jammy. Personally, no, not for me, not as an asset. That was an anomaly what he did, that hat trick. You know what I mean? It's not something I can consistently rely on. So I'd rather go for a Gallagher or more budget player and then use the money and spread the cost.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
what I'd rather do. Do I think he'll start? I'm going to say no. I think he might go Ziyech, Havertz, and on the left, probably Hudson-Odoi. That's what I predict.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think like Tuchel's almost worse than Guardiola now. Compared to, Guardiola was bad in the past, but since he's got a lack of rotation, especially in defence, I think it's not as bad to pick from. You know that Cancelo probably is going to start most games. But yeah, so we'll move on to the next one. We'll go Gallagher or Tony. Go on, Ben. I'll let you take this one.
Oh, over the next sort of 3 game weeks, I'm going to have to say Tony. But that's assuming you don't have Mbeumo, obviously. If you already have him, then Gallagher's probably the one to go for. In terms of this week, if it's a benching sort of dilemma, I'd probably start Tony, just for the fact that he is still contributing to 40% of all of Brentford's goals this season. He produced that stat last season. He was involved in 50% of their goals last year in the Championship. So I'm going to stick with Tony, although Gallagher, he's a great option, like regardless.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, that Brentford Norwich game, isn't it? See if Brentford could turn them over like everyone else has done. Glenn's popping up in the comments. He always never fails to amaze us, does he? Is Aubameyang a good captain option this week? 4 goals in the last 4 home games. Please say yes. Go on, Ray. Take it away as the Arsenal juicer.
If effective ownership wasn't a thing, then absolutely yes. If there was one differential captain to go for, I think Aubameyang would be a fantastic pick. So there you go, guys.
you like let him down gently. I like it.
Yeah, it's like you kill him, but it's like a soft kill. It's like soft one.
Good stuff. We got a secondary question onto that. So thoughts on a Mount for Jota swap. Obviously, Firmino has been ruled out injured. I think it's a green light from all three of us, to be honest. I think he's a go-to player right now, isn't he, Jota?
Not for a hit, though. Not for a hit. For me,
no. Yeah, we're strictly no hits this season compared to last season where we took about 4 every week. So as we said, we're educating ourselves.
You're evolving.
We're graduating.
Leveling up.
We're graduating. Look at that. Love it.
We got another one here. Adam Armstrong or Havertz? Who are you saying, Ben?
I'm saying Kai Havertz. It's a tough one because obviously, Armstrong's looks decent, but Havertz, he's their only option still up front for Chelsea, and they're playing Burnley. Yes, they've looked good defensively in parts, but it is Chelsea, and I think he could come away with 1 or 2 assists. Not sure on his goal scoring potential because obviously they're so focused on those wing backs and what have you. I do think Havertz is a much better option this week. Obviously, a lot of people brought him in, myself included, for that game against Norwich, where they got 7 and he didn't get any returns. But I still think he's probably a better option than Armstrong at this point.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because a lot of people obviously go to the striker for points if they're facing a Norwich. That's why everyone went on Havertz with Chelsea, and it shows if you see where their goals are being scored from, it's out wide with the wing backs. Not necessarily like we saw when Lukaku was fit. He was about 3 or 4 weeks where he wasn't getting any goals. So I think you might see it as a theme throughout the season where Tuchel's attack is mainly down the wide areas. Maybe when Werner's back and playing out wide, maybe he becomes an option there as well. It'll be interesting to see when they get their full team back. We got one more here saying, does he go for Tony or Smith Rowe? Does he bring in one or does he take a hit? What would you do, Ray?
Okay, let's assume he doesn't have any Brentford players, yeah? Because I'm trying to take my hat off and my Arsenal hat off. I think Tony at home to Norwich, it's just a crazy game to not have if you can't get him, in my opinion. I would not go both for -4, absolutely not. But gun to the head, I'd say Tony.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. That Norwich fixture is just something. When I'm looking at my transfers, it's something that I look to target almost every single week. If someone's playing Norwich and they have a decent run after that, I'll be heading to them. Hence why I've got both Brentford boys, because they just concede a stupid amount of goals and chances. Yeah, it's just crazy.
You're making me want to put Antonio to Tony now, man. I knew it was going to happen.
Don't be persuaded by us. Don't be persuaded by us. We'll do one more question, and actually, we'll come on to this, and then we'll do one more question. Xavier, or however you say his name. Sorry if I've butchered that. He's doing Antonio to Tony, so that's an interesting one.
Well, I'm not. I'm going to keep Antonio, just about.
he's nearly twisted his arms.
Nearly. Yeah. You guys got me last time, man. Last time, I think I captained Antonio rather than Bruno, and it failed badly. So I'm not going to be seduced by your charm anymore.
Right, we'll finish on Arthur's question here. He's asking, does he start Armstrong, Livramento, or Ruben Diaz? We'll go around in a 3. Ben, you start, and we'll give our answers.
See, I would probably go Livramento, based on the fact that Danny Ings is out, I believe.
I would go Livramento because I could see United scoring and Diaz doesn't offer that attacking threat. And Armstrong is just one of those, I can't get behind him this season. He seems got all this promise, but he never delivers. So I would go lively Livramento at right wing back. Who are you saying, Ray?
Yeah, with Stuart Armstrong. They're in a pickle, Southampton, because they got 3 strikers they can pick from, isn't it? Because I think Broca is back now.
Yeah, he is fit.
Even though Che Adams and Armstrong linked up last week, I think it was an assist from Armstrong. You're right, same. I'm not sold on him yet. And with Livramento, I think out of the three of them, he's the best option. And with Ings out, I actually think that's better for Villa because then they can play Buendia, Bailey.
Yeah, they look more creative like that.
Exactly, yeah. But out of the three of them, I'll go Livramento. I think Livramento is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's just the asset that we all wanted for like so long. He's like that Lundstrom kind of guy.
Yeah.
£4 million defenders that play every week are just unreal. Right, that wraps everything up then.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for watching, and big thank you to Ray for coming on again onto the FPL Graduates channel. We hope you enjoyed yourself, Ray.
You know it, man. It's been a minute, man. Next time, not so long, eh?
Yeah, definitely. We'll get you back on. Follow him in the comments. All his socials are down there, Twitter, the YouTube, you name it. Go and give him a follow. He gets great advice on Twitter. He's on the Spaces like all the time. I see him on there. So, yeah, make sure you drop him a follow on Twitter for sure. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah, and as always, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And I've been Ray.